Witam serdecznie, z tej strony Kacper Borys. Dzisiaj ze mną jest Zurab Japaridze, czy prezes gruzińskiej libertariańskiej partii, która według moich według rekomendacji, jakich słyszałem, jest jedna z najbardziej efektywnych partii na świecie. So now I will be say English. Whole Poland will laugh from my English, but because it's bad. And I know that you will say from your conference what are success of your party, but camera will not record. So can you say now which effects has your party in libertarianism?
Well, I think the main achievement of our party in Georgia is that we are kind of first one to spread out the ideas of liberty, and we have now tens of thousands of followers, especially among young people. And I think this is single most important achievement because it's going to have long-standing effect on country, on the political debates in the country, etc. But other than that, we have some practical results as well. For example, we managed to achieve legalization of cannabis consumption. We've been fighting for it for a number
Legalization
of years.
Of what?
Of cannabis, marijuana consumption.
Okay, and so it was because of you?
Yeah.
Your part.
It was
Nice.
punishable by law, so for years, people were sent to prison just for smoking. And
For how many years?
depends on how much marijuana they would found on you. So you might go to jail up to 20 years even.
Wow.
So this was like this since Soviet times. So we changed it and now it's legal. You cannot buy it, you cannot grow it, but you can smoke it. This is the situation now. We still have to do some work there, but at least now people don't go to prison for just smoking. We've been fighting for abolishment of mandatory military conscription.
I don't know what is.
Military, when you are taken to military against your will.
That you
mandatory army.
That going to army is not compulsory.
It's compulsory.
Now in Georgia.
It's still compulsory, but
Okay.
we managed to find a way around it by establishing our own religion. Because if you are a priest, or if you are a priest, they cannot take you to army. So we started our own religion, and we had, I don't know, tens of thousands of priests, and this way young people avoided this military conscription. So we helped lots of young people. We helped them to study, to continue their life as they wanted to. So these are like two major things that if you ask in Georgian what Kirchi has done, they will tell you this mandatory military conscription and cannabis legalization. But we have lots of other stuff also that we have done, and I will talk during the conference about them.
Okay, so when you make in Georgia that army will not compulsory in this year?
Maybe after the change of this government, because we already have an agreement with basically all the opposition parties that we need to abolish it. So mandatory should not be mandatory and compulsory. And once we have a change in the government, well, it's probably 90% probability that we will abolish it.
Okay, how many support you have in your country of your party? How many percent?
Yeah, we took part in 3 elections. In 2018, we took part in presidential elections. I was a candidate. We got a little more than 2%. Then we took part in 2020 elections. It was a parliamentary elections, and we got 4 seats in the parliament. And then we took part in 2021 local elections, and we got 1 seat in Tbilisi city municipality, in the capital.
Okay.
So we support, if you look at the polls, our support is around 3-4%.
How many? Once again?
3-4.
3-4?
3-4. Yeah.
Okay. And in parliament in Georgia, how many people can be?
150.
How? Once again?
150.
150.
150.
Okay, and you had 4.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So now I will say to you about my organization. I of course said about it to you off the camera, but now for our our, jak jest widz?
For the record, for your viewers.
For our widzowie, I will I will ask you, what do you think about our conception for strike? Because, as you know, we want to make privatization, make autonomization in education, and also not compulsory schooling. And our conception is that we have to go to say our evangelization.
Preacher. Preaching.
Yes, our true for young people, because they are very activists. Old people aren't activists. They have concrete thinking, but young people want change. And this conception is, of course, that we say to students, we go to this school from this day, and go with us, and you will not go to the schooling. If politicians, ours, will not agree on our act, they will have a problem, because we will have so long list people which was not supporting our act, and we will remind students, don't support these politicians because they was against you.
Well, I mean, the question is whether you will be able to mobilize those young people or not. This will be the most difficult part. If you manage to mobilize them, then I think it's going to work, because usually governments and political parties follow when young people are angry. When they see that young people are angry and they protest and they demand something, usually they follow because they don't have anything against them. So if you manage to mobilize these young people, I think it's going to work. Yesterday I was thinking after we talked about this, and I think your message should be, I mean, if you just say that we are against mandatory education, people might understand it as if you are just against education overall. So you must say that you are against mandatory education by the state. So you're not against education, you just want free education. You just want young people to get education in a way they and their parents will decide. Not get this standardized and unified education from the government, but to find different types of educations, and there will be competition between different type of institutions, educational institutions, and they will have a choice. They will choose what kind of education they want and they prefer.
Okay. We was doing strike in 2 years ago, and we had so action that hashtag instead of school, and it was hashtag that you show your photo, that, for example, you instead of school you are playing football, to show that we are not against education, we are against the system of education. And my ask, do you have any idea to mobilize students for 4.6 million people?
Well, I don't have a lot of experience in that, because in Georgia we have similar problem with the education. We still have state-owned universities, and most of our schools are still public schools, and secondary education is mandatory also in Georgia. So we have similar problems there, but we have even more problems. In Georgia, if I want to talk with the young people in school or in university, I'm not allowed to go there. As a politician, I'm not allowed to enter any school or any university because it's prohibited. So what I did instead is that I took chair and a small table, and I was putting this table and chair in front of the school or in front of the university because I'm not allowed to enter there. And I had some kind of sign there saying that, like for example, education should be free. Change my mind. And I was sitting there and talking with young people or students who were coming out of the school or university, and I was talking with them. They've been asking questions. I was answering and explaining to them why education should be free. And it worked. I did it on a number of topics, and it works. This is the only experience I have in that.
Okay. Do you think that in our strike, of course, students are on the pedestal, they are first, and we need there. But do you think that parents also are necessary to our strike?
Definitely.
And if yes, this strike could be very hard to do, yes? Because
You have to have parents on board, so you have to have some.
How many?
As much as possible.
Yes.
You have to think about some communication channels and messages for the parents in order to make them understand that you are basically fighting for the better future of their children. That you are not against education. Instead you want a better quality education for their children, and that's only achievable by having different choices and by having competition in this field.
Okay, so we have to show to parents that our strike is in their interest.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, or maybe teachers are necessary to our strike.
Well, it's going to be difficult because teachers, in your case, are like a trade union. They are together, and they usually people who are inside the existing education system. They don't want changes and they resist. So you are like enemy in their eyes. So you might get some teachers on board. If you get some teachers who can become some speakers for your cause, that will be good. But I don't think you should hope that there will be lots of teachers and they will join you. No, you will be perceived as an enemy.
Okay. Yes, as I see, teachers are very
Resistant?
Socialist.
Socialist, okay.
Socialist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the system
Very often, yes.
System is socialistic system, so yeah, they are used to it.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for your answers. It will be very helpful for us. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your interest.
SUSSEN.